As most of you may have noticed, the last time we had an actual E3 event was way back in 2019, which I know was not too long ago, but with everything that's happened with COVID-19 and everything else, we have not seen a digital or an in-person E3 event since 2019. Obviously, the start of the pandemic in 2020, canceled E3 2020. There were promises or at least discussions of E3 coming back as a digital event in 2021 or maybe 2022. Was there a digital event somewhere in the past couple of years? Remind me, but I recall not noticing an E3 digital event, and there likely isn't one this year. And you know what? There are talks that maybe it might not come back in the next 2 years, or maybe it will. But there are discussions that it seemed like more and more companies were noticing they're having like their own showcases, their own digital presentations, their own separate shows. Of course, whether it's the big three of Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, or like obviously in some cases, we're seeing Ubisoft having their own showcase. I think Bethesda, of course, now that they're part of Microsoft brand, but Bethesda having their own showcase as well. I think EA at some point, or even like other companies like Capcom as well. I know that Capcom I remember them doing something with, showcasing details about Resident Evil 4 remake and Street Fighter 6 before they were out this year. So those are just examples, just having controlling their own narrative of how they want to do their own presentations and not following a scheduled format. And I think that's the problem. Maybe they're just not catching up to the times, I think. But also, it doesn't help that although there is the Summer Jam Games Fest, it's not meant to be a replacement. I think the Summer Jam Games Fest has sort of, I think it's caught up to the times as well. I don't know what it is. It is popular. It's not meant to be a replacement, but I mean, it's a good thing that it's better than like nothing that's not bringing some sort of excitement when it comes to these sort of events, whether it's game trailers or premieres or anything like that people like to be excited about. So at least there is something. But yeah, it sounds like whether about E3 2023, it's likely not happening. And the ESA is supposedly an organizer group that handles the business of organizing E3 events, also funding and, books companies to come do their presentations and all that, makes deals with a lot of gaming tech companies and all that sort of stuff. There was an interview with between ESA from thegameindustry.biz. One quote saying, ESA is currently having conversations about E3 2024 and beyond, and no final decisions about the event have been made at this time. So basically, we don't know yet if there's going to be E3 in the next few years, but based on how all these companies are operating and how they don't seem as interested as before, you know what? Chances are it's less than likely. But I do have a few quotes because I do want to share. So one of the most important parts, does E3 need the big three of Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox have any chance? And part of the answer is E3 will iterate to ensure it's meeting the needs of companies that want to market on this global platform. That means it will iterate in how people engage with E3. We want to meet the needs of players who view this as an important platform that's going to evolve over time. Okay, cool. Now, is it coming back next year? I know I said part of the quote. We're committed to providing an industry platform for marketing and convening, but we want to make sure we find that right balance that meets the needs of the industry. We're certainly going to be listening and ensuring whatever we want to offer meets those needs, and at that time, we will have more news to share. Okay, cool. So to me, that sounds like I said, maybe it's not completely canceled, but it's sort of like in the middle somewhere, like there's a bit of uncertainty. So if E3 was to continue, how would you do it? Does it need a complete reset? That's an important question. The answer might be long, but important. What we want to make sure we are doing is providing a platform that works for the needs of the industry. That means continuing to ask. We We want to make sure we are doing what we are doing is providing a platform that works for the needs of the industry. That means continuing to ask the questions we are asking in the last round, but also monitoring how they want to deploy their assets in an evolving world. But we also need to be mindful that we are in the midst of a very different period for industry in terms of game development and economic headwinds. So we want to make sure we are providing a platform in a way that is sustainable for today and in the future. So what do you take out of it? What did I take out of it? For me, well, I do think one, I suppose the way E3 event is supposed to be structured, it does need to have some work. And I think one of the founders for E3 said that the Summer Jam Games Fest, that's not the reason why there's no E3. Supposedly, like, E3 has not really like evolved as well. So part of the reason is that E3 needs to find another way to be exciting and not stagnate. And I think that's part of the problem as well. But it is strange that like there isn't much going on. Like I thought by now, like everyone would be back to E3, maybe have something new and fresh, innovative, make it exciting in some ways, and all that good stuff. So it's just kind of weird. There's even talks that maybe a few companies might not show up to this year's San Diego Comic-Con. But if I know anything regarding SDCC, I'll share some news and provide some analysis. But I thought that was just kind of strange as well. But yeah, it looks like to me, for the first time in a long time, E3 might be in serious danger of being completely irrelevant and no longer existent in the gaming tech industry as we know it today.